Welcome to the Bodyguard podcast, where science meets natural healing to uncover the root causes of complex health issues. Your host, Christine Barnes, is a leading complex case health practitioner specializing in functional testing and personalized care. This show dives deep into clinical analysis, cutting-edge diagnostics, natural therapies, and holistic strategies to optimize your health and well-being. Your health is unique. Your healing should be too.
Today's topic is close to the hearts and homes of many of us, ADHD. You may have heard of ADHD, and most of the focus is around hyperactivity, but more and more science is showing us it's deeply connected to gut-brain axis, neuroinflammation, and microbiome imbalances. And I'll add a couple more things in there. Fructose malabsorption that contribute to microbiome imbalances and inflammation, and heavy metals that also contribute to problems in those areas. Here's the really exciting part. We now have natural tools, particularly herbal medicines, but also nutrients that show real promise in helping people manage symptoms with fewer side effects. So whether you're a parent navigating this with your child, a practitioner, or an adult discovering your own neurodivergence later in life, especially if you're a woman, this episode is for you. ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder, is classically defined by inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. But that definition really only scratches the surface. Recent diagnoses in Australia and globally are rising, not just because of overdiagnosis, because decades of under-recognised, especially in women, are being corrected now. ADHD often manifests differently in women and girls. We're only just discovering this. We're more internalized, more inattentive, and deeply affected by hormonal shifts. This is highlighted in research published in Natural Focus in 2025. So it's very new research. Transitions like postpartum, perimenopause, menopause can worsen symptoms for those with ADHD. Why? Because estrogen and progesterone directly influence dopamine and serotonin, the neurotransmitters involved with ADHD. The very neurotransmitters that regulate attention, mood, and reward. This evolving understanding offers a huge opportunity for natural practitioners to support patients with ADHD using gentler, holistic tools and also start to address the underlying drivers for some of these uncomfortable symptoms. Let's talk gut health with the gut-brain axis. It's a missing piece in ADHD treatment. ADHD is increasingly viewed as a neurodevelopmental condition with metabolic, inflammatory, and microbial components. Frontiers in Psychiatry 2023 research paper stated that many individuals with ADHD have altered gut microbiota. So they're born with these imbalances in their microbiome, including low levels of beneficial bacteria like bifidobacterium and fecalibacterium. Dysbiosis may contribute to neuroinflammation, disrupted dopamine signaling, and cognitive rigidity. I think that's really a very interesting term, cognitive rigidity. The gut-brain axis involves the vagus nerve, which transmits messages between your brain and gut, short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which regulate inflammation and protect the blood-brain barrier, and your gut's own ability to produce neurotransmitters like GABA, serotonin, and dopamine precursors. So when we combine this with early antibiotic use, processed diets, high stress, and you have a setup for neurobiological disruption from the inside out. Other contributing factors can be fructose malabsorption and heavy metals. And once again, sometimes these can be, we can be born with these issues. Sometimes fructose malabsorption can be a knock-on effect because the gut that we were born with is out of balance. And same with heavy metals. We can actually absorb these from the mother during pregnancy, but also we can have problems detoxing because of the imbalances with the microbiome. So you can start to see that it becomes a very complex web of functioning that can be involved. All of this can be established by some foundational testing, and I'll talk about appropriate testing in a separate podcast. Today, I wanted to touch on some plant-based strategies for ADHD. And again, I'm not prescribing these. I find much better outcomes if these are individually assessed and prescribed. And they are also dose dependent. So if you're already familiar with some of these herbal approaches and not getting the right results, working with a practitioner that can cross-reference the research with the dosing, and maybe you're on the right herb but aren't taking the right dose, or maybe you're not able to absorb the herbal medicine to its best benefits because of some of the things I mentioned, the obstacles I mentioned earlier, like microbiome issues. So we want to work on the foundations and get them right, and then whatever treatment that you introduce post those foundational health aspects, you'll get better results from. But let's take a deep dive into the growing evidence that herbal medicine provides us with in relation to solutions in ADHD. And this is the good news. So herbal medicine, we know from the research, can support focus, calm, and cognition, and sometimes with comparable effects to pharmaceutical stimulants and fewer side effects. In fact, the side effects are mild and extraordinarily rare. So let's look at a cognitive tonic, Bacopa monnieri. Bacopa is a standout. It's what's considered a nootropic, meaning it enhances learning, attention, and memory. In controlled trials, Bacopa improved executive function, mental flexibility, and sleep routines in children with ADHD, reduced anxiety and supported cognitive processing. It works by modulating the serotonin, GABA, and oxidative stress while increasing cerebral blood flow. Now, this is recent research. So this is published in Natural Focus 2025. So very new research. But we also know historic research also supports those activities. So this is not new information for most herbal medicine practitioners. What we can now do is we can definitively associate the benefits with ADHD. Bacopa's active compounds are called bacosides, even offer neuroprotection, and negative side effects are very mild as well as rare, as I mentioned earlier. Let's talk about the dopamine modulator, ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo enhances blood flow, modulates dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and this trio of neurotransmitters often are disrupted in ADHD people. Clinical trials have shown that ginkgo improves attention rating in both teacher and parent assessments. So that's assessments that have been looked at from the parents of ADHD people and the teachers striving to help them. When compared to methylphenidate, it was less potent but far better tolerated. That was research produced in 2025 in Natural Focus. Its antioxidant effects may also reduce oxidative stress in the brain, which is increasingly implicated in ADHD pathophysiology. I'm going to talk about a herb that many people will have heard of from a cooking perspective, which is called saffron. It's considered a mind brightener. Yes, the same spice in your pantry, but we're using the extract from saffron at a good dose. So yes, use it in your cooking, but you may not find any change because you're using such small amounts. As I mentioned, many of these herbs are dose dependent. So saffron extract during a trial was equivalent to Ritalin in naturally reducing hyperactivity and inattention with no significant side effects. Again, that's Natural Focus. It was published in 2025. Its active compounds have been shown to modulate dopamine and norepinephrine reuptake, reduce oxidative stress, influence monoaminergic and glutamate pathways, which are key aspects involved with ADHD. So, these are very good pieces of quality research that confirm what herbal medicine practitioners have known for quite some time, but this research is specific for those with ADHD. Let's talk about calming the HPA axis. Passion flower is a gentle herb that acts as a natural anxiolytic sleep aid. But I've also found that it's very good for anxiety and those that are stuck in that hypervigilance state that we get in HPA axis dysfunction. The effects of passion flower are comparable to low-dose methylphenidate in pediatric populations. It may be especially useful for nighttime restlessness or stress-induced symptom flares. I use passion flower a lot with great results. It's a fantastic herb. In previous podcasts, you may have heard me refer to L-theanine. It's a real calmer, but it also makes our brain more alert. It's an extract from green tea. I like to use a source of it where the caffeine has been removed. And we know that it's the L-theanine, not just the caffeine, that makes us more calm and alert. And it does this by boosting the alpha brainwaves, promoting mental clarity with calm. It enhances executive function, improves sustained attention, and works synergistically with low-dose caffeine. Interestingly, that it's sourced from caffeine, and we know the research shows that it works synergistically with caffeine. So once again, we've got diet and nature really educating us that these things come together for a reason. And often we see improved focus and reduced mind wandering when used together. That was a 2023 crossover study in boys with ADHD. It has a bonus where it improves sleep quality, and it's a huge piece of the puzzle with ADHD management. The quality of the sleep is so important. So that's L-theanine, dose dependent. I don't recommend you use that when self-prescribing. I do recommend that you be prescribed some of these nutrients by your practitioner, your naturopathic practitioner, herbalist, or nutritionist. Now let's look at the microbiome. So there are some gut-friendly practices that can help us support the microbiome and reinforce everything we've discussed, basically. So I'm going to suggest including some of these in your daily ritual, in your diet, for example, in your supplements, if you're working with a practitioner especially important to discuss whether these supplements are right for you. But just sort of consider prebiotic foods appropriate for you, and will they help your ADHD? We know that prebiotic foods are very beneficial for the microbiome. So consider things like green banana flour, flax seeds, of course berries, they're well researched. Now, in some cases, fermented foods are appropriate and helpful, but we don't know unless we test the gut. So if you're ready to do a gut test, that's where I'd start before even considering fermented foods. But some fermented foods are helpful for gut health. So consider things like small amounts of sauerkraut, dairy-free yogurts that include live cultures. But in my clinic, I like to test the microbiome and really get specific and targeted. Gentle herbal support. So bacopa may be helpful to take in the morning. Passion flower might be helpful to take in the evening. You can get both of these herbs in a herbal tea. And if you're self-treating, that's a safer option. A digital wind down. You'll hear me talk about these in various podcasts, especially podcasts that I do in relation to sleep. But very helpful for those that are on the spectrum in the case of ADHD in particular. So 90 minutes before bed, no screen time to protect the melatonin and calm the nervous system down. Now, in addition, we can add movement, breath work, daily dose of sunlight. These are all daily habits I'd really like you to seriously consider including in your children and adults with ADHD, but all people, all humans can benefit across the board. These also help with microbiome diversity and dopamine regulation. Let's look at redefining ADHD. It's not a flaw. It's a neurotype. It's a different operating system, if you like. I certainly, if I sought out a diagnosis, I'm sure I'd be diagnosed with it when I think back over my lifetime, how I've thought a little bit differently about life, about things, how I've approached from a very early point in my life. I'm in my 60s now, but right from a teenager, I knew that my brain operated differently, and I sought out to support it and was very protective about how my brain operated. So I think these days I really would like everybody to consider those that are in the spectrum have a little bit of a superpower rather than think it's a flaw. But it is a spectrum. We do know that when we support ADHD from the gut, the nervous system perspective, that plants have been medicine for years. We can create space not just for symptom relief, but to help give confidence, creativity, higher level functioning, and a deep healing. There is help if you find that you are suffering and spiraling with your suffering in ADHD. So if you're not being supported by a natural medicine practitioner, please seek out somebody. If not me, seek out somebody that has experience in this area of expertise. Until next time, I'm Christine Barnes reminding you, your body knows the way. Sometimes it just needs the right soil to grow in.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Bodyguard podcast. We hope you found valuable insights to help you take control of your health journey. Want to dive deeper? Visit thebodyguard.com.au to learn more about our work, explore resources, and discover how personalised care can transform your well-being. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it with others on social media. Your support helps us reach more people looking for answers. Until next time, take care and keep prioritising your health, because your healing should be as unique as you are. Please note the information in this podcast is for educational purposes only and not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The Bodyguard accepts no liability for any loss or damage arising from the use of this content. Always consult a healthcare professional.